I wanted to start with Diem because I think that might have been what we were talking about the last time you and I spoke. I think, used to be Libra, that was going to come. I think the goal was 2020, and then I saw at the end of 2020, the goal was early 2021. We're now in August of 2021. Can you just give me an update? Where are you guys with Diem, and what has been the kind of holdup? Because I know it's taking a lot longer than you had initially hoped.
Yes. So first, I can't really speak for Diem because we're just one out of 26 members, and while I sit on the board, we don't run the operations at Diem, nor do we control it. But the update is that Diem is still working on getting ready for launch. And it had a series of evolutions along the journey. One was a name change, but that was not as meaningful as what changed on substance. As you remember, in the early days, the big idea of Libra was really one that had a stable coin that included a number of existing currencies instead of just being aligned with the dollar, which is what is being prepared now. And also it was to be regulated in Switzerland. And since then, the team at Diem brought this back to the US to be regulated in the US, given it was a dollar stablecoin that was worked on. And so now it's basically in the process of getting approvals to move forward and getting the proper licensing structure to actually move forward. And obviously we're quite eager on the Novi side, the Facebook wallet that is now ready for launch to move forward, because we think that the world really needs a better payment system. I think that especially in the US, we have a pretty terrible payment system in terms of the settlement times and the cost for merchants, and how many people are left behind. So we think it's time.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Novi, which is the digital wallet you're building at Facebook. It sounds like you just hinted that it's done and you're just kind of waiting for Diem to be out there so that Novi can launch. What is the status of Novi? Are you kind of just sitting around waiting to get this out there? Is it already ready?
So it's definitely ready now, and we've been working on it for a couple of years now, and it takes time because it's not just an app, right? So when you have to start the journey to serve as many people as possible who are left behind by the current system, you have to make sure that all of your compliance systems are in place, that customer service is set up in such a way that you can help people if they encounter issues. And we want to make sure that we can earn people's trust over a long period of time. And as a result, it took a tremendous amount of effort to get operationally ready on top of building what I believe is a really good wallet app that will enable people to send money to one another in a really seamless way.
You mentioned that trust. And there are a lot of people out there who are distrustful of Facebook, right? They for whatever reason, they don't want Facebook involved with their money. And you wrote a blog post last week. You said you thought that was un-American, that kind of Facebook is getting this rap. What did you mean by that? Can you elaborate a little bit on why you think Facebook kind of deserves people's trust when it comes to a digital wallet like this?
Look, I don't think we deserve people's trust. I think we deserve a shot at earning people's trust, right? And I think that we are well set up to do that. And I think that, we've proven in the past that we can reduce costs in a very significant way with other critical parts of our daily lives, like communications. Like, if you look at how much an international call used to cost and how much text messages used to cost before WhatsApp and Messenger, it was much more expensive, and we helped reduce cost and broaden access to people who couldn't afford it before. And so I think that we've done this in the past. We have a track record for that, and I completely understand the scrutiny, and I completely understand the trust conversations. But I'm not advocating for blind trust. I'm advocating for a shot to earn people's trust over a long period of time, and I think we're prepared to do that.
One of the other things you mentioned was that you would consider launching Novi with just kind of fiat currencies, with the US dollar. It's not ideal. Certainly it's not the vision you set out for, but it's something you would consider. Can you walk me through that a little bit more? At what point do you have to kind of make that decision, or would you make that decision to say, hey, we're going to do this with fiat currencies instead of, a stable coin like Diem?
Well, we're definitely not prepared to do that right now because the current infrastructure, as I laid out in my post, really needs a significant upgrade if we really want to change the game for people and businesses alike, right? And I think it's the time has come for that. And I think, the question is really, if there's just no other way for us to provide the value that we want to provide to consumers, then, as a last resort, we might consider doing that. But we're very determined and very motivated to launch with a stable coin and on a network that enables us to actually really change the game for people. I think, it's really ridiculous that, nearly 70% of the payment volume in the US still runs over ACH, which takes 3 days to clear. I mean, it's something that was invented in the early 70s, and we're still there. So it's time that we actually provided people with real-time, low-cost, global transaction protocol for money that would also enable us, and when I say us, it's us here in the West and in America, to keep the lead and stay ahead when it comes to innovation in payments. We're really falling behind at an alarming rate, and I think it's time for better infrastructure, for better services, and for lower cost.
Yeah, I think the plan for Diem right now is a stable coin that's backed only by the US dollar. Do you think that Diem can succeed if it's only a US dollar backed coin? Do you think there needs to be coins that are backed by other fiat currencies, the euro, for example? Is that part of the plan?
Well, I think over time, there are going to be more trusted stablecoins. And, the problem is there are high quality stablecoins and not, high quality stablecoins. And we want to do this right. And we believe that the structure of Diem's reserves are actually best in class out there. It's probably safer than any deposit with any wallet out there. And if there wasn't FDIC insurance for your bank account, probably safer than a bank account deposit. And so when you think about all of this, you really want to lean on the stable coins that will enable you to deliver the value that you want to deliver. In this case, faster, cheaper, more open payments, programmable money. But I think over time, you'll also see central bank digital currency emerge. And I think what that will do is it'll bring an additional level of trust in the underlying digital currency that people use. And if and when the day comes, we'll definitely use central bank digital currency. But I think, I covered this in the post as well. I say that stable coins by themselves don't solve any problem. They need to be coupled with an underlying infrastructure that's faster, cheaper, open, programmable, interoperable. And the same is true for CBDC. I mean, central bank digital currency in and of itself won't solve any problem unless it is paired with good infrastructure. And I still believe that what is being proposed by Diem right now is the most compliant, scalable, purpose-built payments blockchain out there that will actually help solve the problems that we've set out to solve.
Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey is a huge Bitcoin believer, and he's talked about this as being a native currency for the internet. Obviously, Bitcoin has a much more consumer familiarity than Diem or any other stablecoin might. Have you considered Bitcoin being involved in the Novi wallet at all? How is Facebook kind of thinking about Bitcoin right now?
Look, I've also been a longtime Bitcoin fan, and you know that. But I don't think of Bitcoin as a transactional currency or as a medium of exchange. I think of it as a great decorrelated investment asset. But the problem is the volatility of the asset itself doesn't make it a good transactional currency. Because if you're sending money around the world, you can't have the value of the asset that you send, decrease by 20% in a day or even 10% in a day. That's a volatility that's actually inappropriate for payments. And so we think it's a really great investment asset, and I like it, but not for payments, or maybe not yet, maybe one day, but not right now.
Yeah. Let's talk Metaverse for just a second, because this is something your boss, CEO Mark Zuckerberg, is talking about a lot these days, this idea that we'll all kind of be interacting in a virtual world sometime soon. How do you think Novi will fit into that, and Diem as well? Are these kind of going to be the way that people exchange value in the Metaverse someday, or is it too soon to kind of put a stake in the ground there?
Well, I think, thinking about the metaverse as a fully digital environment is actually super helpful when you design products that need to be future-proof. And, when I look at what's going to be needed in the metaverse is basically, really seamless movement of value. And for that, we need a new infrastructure. Interoperability, because you'll want to have multiple wallets able to participate in the metaverse, and sending value from one wallet to another can't be impossible, which is a current limitation of the current payment rails. And then you have all kinds of other things that are really important to think about when you think about the metaverse, and not only related to payments. You can think about smart contracts. And you can think about all kinds of new models for creators to generate revenues by creating digital assets, NFTs, and by creating new models around that. And I think having programmable money and having smart contracts on top of a purpose-built blockchain is going to be transformational for the metaverse. Because if you're a creator, you're creating an NFT, you may want to rent your NFT or sell your NFT. You'll have to store your NFT, and you can think of all kinds of new business models around this that are not possible with the current payments infrastructure and without smart contracts. So I think it's super interesting to start thinking about these things now, so we can build the right infrastructure and think about how to design these products the right way so that they're future-proof.
And it sounds like Diem would be one of presumably many either stablecoins or cryptocurrencies that would be used in the metaverse. Am I following that right?
Yeah, I think, again, the problem is not really the currency, right? I think, it can be any sort of different stablecoin or currency that can be used in an environment like this, as long as it's stable and compliant and all these things. But I think what's more relevant is, what is the underlying infrastructure that is required for all of these use cases to be possible? And also, what does it do to build these products with that in mind for people in today's world, not wanting to wait, for the metaverse to be mainstream? And I think that, if you build on new infrastructure, you basically reduce costs, you improve accessibility for people who don't have access to the current financial system, and you create interoperability, which creates more competition, and that's just great for consumers.
You mentioned NFTs a few times. I'm curious just what Facebook is thinking about NFTs. Is this something that you're considering for creators that use Facebook or Instagram? What is kind of Facebook's feeling right now about NFTs as a product for consumers?
Well, it's too early to talk about our plans, but we're definitely looking at a number of ways to get involved in the space, because we think we're in a really good position to do so. And when you have a good crypto wallet like Novi will be, you also have to think about how to help consumers, support NFTs. And so, while there's no immediate plans that I can talk about, we're definitely thinking about this. I mean, it's really an area that is worth exploring, and one where we can have a positive impact for both creators and consumers on the other side.
I started by pointing out the timeline of Diem, and which obviously impacts the timeline of Novi, your digital wallet. I'm going to ask you to end with putting your projector hat on. What is the timeline that we're going to start seeing Novi out in the wild?
Well, we'll see. In some configurations it's in our hands, and some others it's not. So time will tell. But we're ready to launch, and we think it's time. So we'll bring Novi to market soon, and we'll do what it takes from that point on to ensure that we operate this with the highest degree of customer focus, so that we can earn people's trust over a long period of time. And I think that's what we want to start. This journey to start solving real problems for people and then earn their trust over a period of time.